Hello guys and welcome back. In this video we are going to be finishing off our movement script. Okay, in the process we are going to be learning about four really key topics for the entire video. So the first of them would be something called Rigidbody. Okay, from there we're going to be moving on to something called variable, then FixedUpdate and smooth movement. Now none of them really are you shouldn't be really aware of these, especially for the targeted audience, but we are going to be learning about all of them as we go. The first one, Rigidbody, has something to do with the movement, the actual movement. Okay, so if I quickly go back to the Unity editor, so in the previous video, we made our character move in certain directions using the code. Okay, we made it go right or we made it go left. Okay. I think we didn't do left, actually we made it go up and right. Okay, but that was done using this code right here. Okay, transform.translate. I'm not saying this is not okay. As a matter of fact, I have actually done a game where I've used transform.translate and the collisions work properly, but in our case, we're going to be doing it using something called Rigidbody. Okay, and that is because whenever we are working in a game where we have a lot of collisions going on, okay, we want to have the movement implemented with something called Rigidbody. Now, Rigidbody is essentially a way for you to tell the Unity engine that, hey, we need your help for the physics calculation. Okay, so let's see how we can add the Rigidbody. So it's kind of like how we added the component, the movement component to the player. Okay, we just, instead of dragging it, we just need to press this add component. So first we want to make sure that we are on the player, so click on the player if you are not, and then click on this add component button. Then you can click on like type up Rigidbody, and you get two options. The first one is called Rigidbody, and the second one is called Rigidbody 2D. We're going to be using Rigidbody 2D because obviously we are in a 2D game. Okay, just Rigidbody is for 3D physics. We are not doing 3D, we're doing 2D. Okay, so you click on it and then it gets added to your game. Now we don't really need to know any of these values, okay, except the gravity scale. We don't want anything to be done for the player's gravity by the Unity physics engine. So we're gonna make this 1 and turn it into a 0. Okay, so there's no gravity on the player. Other than that, we're all good. We don't really need to worry about this for the moment. The next step needs to be done over on the script. So we're going to go to the script. Okay, we are not going to be using this transform to translate anymore. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this, and also we are going to get rid of the green text because these are just comments. We don't need to worry about them for now. Okay, instead what we're going to do is we are going to focus on the second topic called variable. Okay, now what is a variable? Now a variable is something that allows you to store values. Okay, we have to store values. Now why do you think that may be relevant? Okay, it's relevant because we need to access this Rigidbody from this movement script. So we need to essentially store this Rigidbody from in the movement script. Okay, so we need to create a variable. It's quite simple actually. Just create Rigidbody 2D. Okay, and then you give it a name. It's kind of like, you know, how you can say, hey, we have a cat called Tom. Okay, like that. So we're using this Rigidbody 2D. Let's name it RB and then semicolon. Semicolon is the end of statement. Now inside the start method, okay, when I say inside, I mean the between the curly braces. Okay, you're going to go inside the curly braces and go RB equals to, we're going to get the component. We're going to get the Rigidbody component. Okay, so there's an actual code. Okay, so equals to get component angle brackets, so shift angle brackets. Now inside the angle brackets you're going to type up Rigidbody 2D followed by the round brackets and this end of statement for the semicolon. And what this does is, like this script, when the game starts running, would look for all the components that are attached to the character. So we have a sprite renderer, we have a transform, and also we have a Rigidbody. So we'll find the Rigidbody and store that inside this RB. Okay, now why have we used it? Well, we're gonna make it so it moves. Well, the rigid body moves. Okay, thus when we do implement collision, it works properly. Now, this brings us to the third item on the list for today, that is fixed update. So whenever we are working with the rigid body, that is whenever we are working with the physics engine of the Unity engine, okay, we need to code the movement inside the fixed update. So not inside the update anymore, we need to add the fixed update. We would still, however, need the update function, so we're going to keep it, but underneath that we're going to create fixed update. Okay, you just type a fixed update, it'll pop up. Select the first one, and that would create you this fixed update. And inside the fixed update, what we're going to do is we're going to use this rigid body. Okay, so we're going to go rb dot move position. It's like, you know, if you have a cat or dog, let's say Tom is saying Tom dot move. Okay, kind of like that. So rb dot move position, round brackets and semicolon. And inside the round brackets, you want to enter the new position that you want it to move. Now think about if I tell you to move 10 position from your, if I tell you to move 10 position, you're going to be moving 10 steps. Let's say move 10 steps forward. Okay, you're going to be moving 10 steps forward from your current location. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing here as well. Okay, so between the brackets, we're going to go rb dot current position. So you just do rb dot position, and that'll give you your current position plus, okay, plus you want to make it move to a location depending on what you're pressing. If you're pressing the right key, you want to make it move right. If you're pressing the left key, you want to make it move left. Now, how do we know which button we are pressing? Well, for that, we need to actually go back to the update method. Okay, and inside the update method, we're going to use this code called input, okay, dot get access. Okay, input dot get access. What get access does is it gives you access to the keys the user is pressing. Okay, so you're gonna go get access round brackets and semicolon. Inside the round brackets, we're gonna just type up quotation marks first. Okay, and then you guys stay on the script, but have a look at my screen. Okay, so I'm going to go back inside the Unity engine, edit, project settings, input manager, and there you can see how there's this section called axis, and there's this axis called horizontal, and that is mapped to left, right keys, and A and D keys. Okay, horizontal is essentially this left, okay, this left and right axis. This is the red axis. Okay, that's the horizontal axis. Okay, so we want to get the value of the horizontal axis, so we're going to type up horizontal. Needs to be typed exactly like I'm typing it, with a capital H, because that's how it's typed in Unity. And again, we need to use this value of whatever the user is pressing and use it here. Okay, now how do we get the value from here to there? Well, we're going to be using a variable. Okay, so I'm going to go back up. After the semicolon, I'm going to type a private. Actually, I didn't mention private, so let's just skip private for the moment. Let's just create a vector2. Okay, vector2 direction. So this is the direction the player is going to be moving. Okay, so direction semicolon, and I'll come back to the update method. Okay, which has input.getAxis horizontal. Okay, now this value needs to be stored inside this direction variable. So just before input, I'm going to type up direction dot x. Okay, remember it's the horizontal axis, and x is the horizontal axis, and y is the if I go back to my Unity, so x is this red axis and y is this green axis. Okay, so we are just concerned about the x-axis for the moment. So direction dot x. Now we are good to use this direction and add it to our current location. So do direction, and that's it. Okay, so the movement code is still not complete. We're done with the fixed update, but we're gonna see how and what this smooth movement means. Okay, so for the moment though, you can just save your work. If you go back to Unity, and if you launch My scripts take forever to load actually. Okay, so you can press the left or right arrow keys and they would allow your player to move to the left, which is like really fast. Alright, okay. This is not smooth, okay. Oh, by the way, you can press A and D as well, okay. But you can see it's moving really fast and you don't have any ways to control the speed of it, or it doesn't look smooth as well. And that brings us to this smooth movement. Now, smooth movement has to do with frames. Like these codes update, they run every frame, and FixedUpdate, they run at a fixed frame rate, okay. Now, you don't need to worry about the technical details, but we need to make sure it smoothens out. This movement of the position smoothens out. Now, to do that, we need to multiply it. Okay, so it's in the FixedUpdate. After the direction, we're going to do times time dot fixed delta time. This is essentially this is 0.5 for you by Unity by default, I think, in Unity by default. But what this really does, it takes the frame rate into consideration, okay, and it smoothens your movement out. Okay, so if you save your work and go back to Unity, you'd see now it's smooth, but it's not like, we still don't have any sort of control over how fast or how slow we want to move, okay. And that would be the last topic for today. So let's just quickly have a look at what we have for now. Okay, you can see how it's smooth, okay. I don't really mind, but it's god awfully slow, okay. It's really slow, but there's no way we can speed things up, okay. Until now, we're going to add in a way for that. So that again has to be a variable, okay. So speed variable. So just at the very top, we want to have a variable. Now, we have used the Rigidbody variable direction for the vector2 variable, but you can see in the Unity editor, they don't pop up, but we need to have access to that. We want to have access to that variable from Unity. So what we're going to do is we're going to do public float. This is like fractional numbers, okay. So float, and call it speed and semicolon. If you save, as this variable is public, if you go, so make sure you save first, okay, save, that is Control S for Windows and Command S for Mac. If you save and come back and let the scripts reload, you would find there's this speed property here, okay. I can increase it to 5, but will it do any difference? It won't, okay, because we need to make sure we add the speed variable into our movement calculation. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to multiply the frame rate, so time.fixed delta time, and multiply it with the speed. Okay, so it is smoothening out with the frame, but we have some control over how fast it goes. I'm just going to put a round bracket around time.fixed delta time and speed. Okay, just so it's really clear on what we want to do. We're going to smoothen the speed out, okay, and this is just for the direction. Okay, so we have the directional calculation. We're timing it with the speed and the smoothness of how the movement would look. Okay, so if you save and launch, okay, again Control S or Command S. Okay, make sure you save and then let the script reload, not reload, like compile, and then come back, and you see how you have a way to make it move faster or slow speed. So even during the play mode, you can actually change the value. So let's say if I make it 10, okay, you can see how this one is much faster now. Okay, if I make it 1, it's much slower. Okay, so come up with a value during the edit mode, like during the play, like a value that you like. Like I like 4. Okay, so I'm gonna probably, no, maybe not actually. I'm gonna maybe go with 8. Okay. Yep, so that's what I'm going to stick with. But the moment I press exit out of play mode, it'll shift back to my default, which is 5. That's no issue. We can just update it, okay, and then it would be defaulted to the new value, which is 8 for me. So that's the movement script done. In the future videos, we're going to be maybe next we're going to be working on the spawning of the bullet. Okay, so we can attack. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.